She spent 20 years hidden from the world. No school, no friends, no sunlight. Just four walls and a secret that could get her killed. And the moment she finally stepped outside, she walked straight into a war. This is Forbidden City. It begins in a remote village in China, where a father pushes his two daughters through brutal martial arts training every single day. The older sister, Yun, struggles, her patience wearing thin under the relentless pressure. But the younger one, Mei, is different. She doesn't just train, she burns. Every move, every strike, she devours it all with pure fire. Then, a knock at the door changes everything. The father takes one look at the visitor and freezes. Without a word, he orders his wife to hide Mei immediately, because this is a country living under one of the cruelest laws imaginable, a rule that says one family, one child. Mei was never supposed to exist, and if anyone finds out about her, the consequences would be catastrophic. Her mother pulls her into the dark, hushing her cries. To calm her, she places a tiny origami bird in Mei's hands, a delicate paper creature, a symbol of everything Mei will never be allowed to have, freedom. From that moment on, Mei becomes a ghost, hidden, erased, living entirely in the shadows. Years pass. When we find Mei again, she is grown, and she is crammed inside a shipping container with a group of illegal immigrants, all of them heading somewhere unknown. The moment they arrive, they're lined up in front of a cold, calculating woman who runs a forced labor operation. The boss barks at them to strip. Instead, Mei quietly asks about her sister. That question earns her a beating, or at least that's what the boss orders. What happens next, nobody expected. Mei doesn't run, she doesn't plead, she moves. With terrifying speed and controlled fury, she disassembles every guard in the room. One by one, they hit the floor. When the boss still refuses to talk, Mei finds an old man cowering nearby, and he nervously points upstairs. She goes up. More guards swarm her. She grabs a cylinder, breaks it apart, and turns it into a blade. She cuts through them like she's been doing this her entire life. At the top floor, an elderly woman gives her one name, Alfredo, the owner of an Italian restaurant. Mei is already moving before the woman finishes the sentence. Guards chase her through the building, and she ends up cornered in a kitchen. She doesn't panic. She fights them off using every surface, every tool around her, including boiling hot oil, and somehow, barely, walks out alive. She steps outside into the chaos of streets, noise, and unfamiliar faces. She looks around and realizes the truth. She's in Chinatown, in Rome, Italy. Inside the restaurant she left behind, a man named Wang stares in stunned silence at his entire crew lying destroyed on the floor. Rome feels enormous, overwhelming, but Mei has a target. She hunts down Alfredo's Italian restaurant with quiet, mechanical determination. When she steps inside, an old waiter seats her. She scans the walls and spots his photo almost immediately. In the kitchen, a chef named Marilo is in the middle of a full meltdown, cursing his father Alfredo under his breath for vanishing and dumping the entire restaurant on him. When Mei approaches and asks about his father through a translation app, Marilo snaps. That's a mistake. Mei grabs him, forces the truth out of him, and when she learns that Alfredo ran off with a Chinese woman, she drops him and walks away. She has everything she needs. But she's not the only one looking for answers. Enter Hannibal, a gang boss carved from stone. He runs extortion rackets across the city with brutal efficiency, always surrounded by his loyal bodyguards. When his nephew Marilo tells Hannibal about the Chinese girl who beat him half to death, Hannibal doesn't just get angry, he makes it personal. He storms into Wang's restaurant, grabs Wang by the collar, and tells him, "Find the girl, hand her over, or everyone suffers." Hannibal returns to Marilo's restaurant that same night to get a physical description. But before Marilo can say a word, Mei appears in the doorway like she was never gone. Hannibal's men bolt after her. Mei lets them chase her because she wants them to follow. She leads them into a massive, abandoned shopping mall. It goes quiet. Then the first guard steps inside, and she takes him apart before he can even shout. The second guard searches for his partner in the dark, completely unaware that Mei is right behind him. She engages, and this one fights back hard. It's brutal, exhausting, and grueling, but Mei wins. Hannibal walks in to find his elite guards destroyed. Meanwhile, May has also found Wang's man, forced information out of him, and now she's dragging Marilo to a desolate stretch of wasteland outside the city. He digs. He doesn't want to, but he digs. What comes out of the ground breaks everything open. Two bodies, Yoon and Alfredo. Marilo drops to his knees, paralyzed. May's face collapses, all of the strength, all of the fire, gone just for a moment. She stands over her sister's body and lets the grief swallow her whole. She loads Yoon into the car and drives away. Marilo is left alone in the dirt, staring at his father's grave. Down by the shore that night, May performs the traditional cremation ceremony for her sister. She moves through the ritual slowly, deliberately, and at the very end, she holds up the origami bird, the one her mother gave her all those years ago in the dark, the one that carried every memory of home. She lets it go. It rises into the sky, and she watches until it's gone. The story doesn't stop. It accelerates. Marilo informs Hannibal about the burial site, and Hannibal helps cover everything up to protect the family name. But in the process, he makes a stunning confession. He tried to convince Alfredo to leave Yoon and come home. Alfredo refused. He chose love over family, and that refusal cost him everything. Consumed by the need for answers, Marilo grabs a kitchen knife and storms Wang's restaurant the next morning. He's thrown out into the street in seconds. But while that distraction plays out, May is already inside, disguised, armed, waiting. She moves through Wang's operation like a shadow, but she's spotted. Wang's men swarm her. A savage brawl erupts. She fights hard, but she's outnumbered, outgunned, and takes a knife to the shoulder before the crowd drags her down. Wang orders his men to finish her outside. She throws herself out of the building instead. Badly wounded and bleeding, May collapses in the street. A chef, a friend of Marilo's, finds her. Panicked, he calls Marilo, and despite everything, Marilo takes her in. He brings her to his father's old apartment and quietly tends to her wounds. He shows her a photo he found, a small worn image of May and Yoon as children. She stares at it in silence. Recovery is slow, but one evening Marilo takes her out to walk the city. They move through the streets of Rome together, two people connected by grief, navigating a world that has tried to destroy both of them. May notices her own face on wanted posters. She notices a concert announcement for Wang's son. And somewhere in this strange, quiet walk through a city that was never supposed to be hers, May tells her story, all of it. 20 years locked inside a house, her sister sneaking in every night, describing a world May wasn't allowed to see. Yoon immigrating to Italy to build a path for her. May following as soon as she couldn't stand the distance anymore, arriving too late. And now, only one reason to keep breathing. The night of the concert, Wang arrives with his men. Marilo steps out to get food. When he returns, May is already gone. She follows Wang through the streets, silent as smoke. He senses her. He slips away from the concert and leads her into an abandoned factory. And the moment they're inside, he turns the tables. Wang is not just a crime boss. He is a martial arts master. He uses the smoke filling the building to launch a devastating ambush. The fight that follows is the most dangerous of May's life. He pulls a knife. She disarms him. He grabs it again. She snatches a brick and drives it into his skull. Then she pulls out a heavy chain and beats him until he can't move. Standing over him, she demands the truth. He gives it to her. Alfredo genuinely loved Yoon. He was willing to hand over his restaurant, everything he owned, to free her from Wang's operation. The deal was almost done. Then Hannibal stepped in. He wasn't going to let his family's business be given away for a Chinese woman. When Alfredo refused to walk away, Hannibal killed his own brother. Wang did the rest. He saw Yoon as a loose end, so he buried her. May stands there, taking it all in. Tears cut down her face. Wang sees his opening. He lunges. He should have stayed on the ground. The rage that comes out of May in that moment is something else entirely. She doesn't just fight back. She ends it in the same way he ended Yoon. She makes it mean something. The next morning, she tells Marilo everything, and the moment he understands that the man who killed his father is his own uncle, Hannibal, the man who raised him, protected him, claimed to love his family, The rage that takes over Marilo is quiet and absolute. He locks May in the room, walks out the door. Hannibal is at the restaurant preparing for a romantic dinner with Marilo's mother. When Marilo walks in and finds them together, he doesn't explode. He goes to the kitchen, cooks a meal, sets it on the table, sits down between them, and waits. Hannibal feels it immediately. The silence, the weight, the way Marilo won't look away from him. He excuses himself and leaves. Marilo follows. Back at the apartment, May is already panicking. She forces her way out through the roof, leaping from building to building across Rome, racing toward the restaurant. She arrives breathless. Too late. Only Marilo's mother remains. On a dark street somewhere in the city, Marilo corners Hannibal. He doesn't yell. He asks, simply and devastatingly, how Hannibal could murder his own brother in cold blood. Hannibal tries to justify it, tries to explain, but there is nothing to explain. Marilo reminds him of every sacrifice his family made for him, the loyalty, the years, all of it. Hannibal raises his gun. Then May and Marilo's mother arrive. Hannibal sees them, and in that moment, something in him understands that it's over. Every lie, every secret, every justification, gone. There is nowhere left to go. He turns the gun on himself. The screen goes dark. Then, 10 years later, a village in China bathed in warm light. May stands in an open courtyard, teaching a group of children martial arts. Her father's movements, his discipline, his legacy, now hers to carry forward. Marilo stands nearby, watching her. He left Italy behind without hesitation. He is her husband now. They have 2 children, something the old laws of this world would have made impossible. The origami bird is gone, but what it represented, freedom, hope, a future worth fighting for, May finally has all of it. She earned every single piece.